Asia offers a number of countries that are not only tax-friendly, but have great weather, are highly livable, and offer a lower cost of living than a lot of other great countries around the world. I'm a big advocate of Asia. But while there are good tax policies for entrepreneurs and investors in many parts of Asia, people ask, is Asia safe? Today we're going to talk about low-tax countries in Asia that also happen to be ranked as very safe. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson, and here at Nomad Capitalist, we help 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs and investors legally go where they're treated best. You can learn more about what that all involves at nomadcapitalist.com. And, for what we talk about here at Nomad Capitalist, I think that having a holistic plan is always at the top of the list. You don't want to go somewhere just to save money on tax. You don't want to go somewhere just to be safe. We always try and accomplish as many things with each strategy as possible. And while no one country or no one strategy is a panacea, I understand as someone who actually lives the nomad capitalist lifestyle that merely going to a tax-friendly place isn't worth much if you don't feel safe there. And so when we talk about safety, there's a couple different elements. One thing that I think we've seen in 2020 with the pandemic is how well many Asian countries have fared in that regard. Not in terms of crime, but just in terms of very low cases. They've reopened faster than other countries. Life got back to normal faster, and you've seen everywhere from Taiwan to Vietnam to Cambodia to Malaysia to Thailand do a pretty good job of handling this. South Korea at one point was pretty well lauded as well. And so Asia, in my opinion, has been a great place to be, and there are certainly some trade-offs that get you to that point. But I think that, in comparison to most of the rest of the world, people that I know who are in Asia feel much safer than people who are in the United States. It's an important thing to note. As to crime, if you look at crime statistics on websites like Numbeo, we look at a number of different reports that we use for our Nomad Passport Index and just in our daily business. The safest part of Asia that people don't really think about is the Gulf. In fact, for 6 years in a row, Qatar has been ranked as the safest country in the world. It may not be the most exciting place in the world to live, but certainly it has quality of life. You have lots of amenities. Everything is very well developed. You've got one of the best airports in the world from which to fly out of. And you have, of course, very favorable tax policies. Hard to beat zero. Not so far away, the UAE, home to Dubai, Abu Dhabi, similar tax policies. Probably a bit easier if you're an investor or an entrepreneur. You can start a company, you can buy real estate as your means to getting a residence permit there. Probably also a bit more livable for most Westerners. You can have some of the most incredible malls. If you've never been to Dubai, for example, if you come from where I'm from in the United States, you'll see some of the most incredible restaurants that you remember from back home. You can go to the Cheesecake Factory and you go to Tim Hortons, get a donut, go to Starbucks. You've got really a great quality of life. And again, hard to beat a tax rate of zero. One of the safest countries in the world. If you look at what people traditionally think of in the West as Asia, East Asia, whether it's Southeast Asia or Northern Asia, you've got a lot of safe countries. Japan, South Korea always top the list. Taiwan is also in the top 5 or 10 on pretty much every list. These countries sometimes have special tax regimes for foreigners. If you come in a certain way, it can become complicated in countries like Japan. In countries like South Korea, they have some discounts for new expats on taxes, but it's not really super low. Southeast Asia is generally home to some of the most favorable tax regimes in the region. And while countries like the Philippines don't rank quite as highly, Singapore and even Hong Kong in the last year has ranked quite highly. Singapore always in the top 10 lists, including on the Western-centric list where they always talk about Iceland and Austria as the only places that you want to be. Singapore is always in the top 10, probably the safest place in Southeast Asia. Hong Kong, not technically in Southeast Asia, but despite everything that has happened, still relatively safe. And then beyond that, those are countries that potentially could pay very close to zero. Potentially you might be somewhere in the mid-teens. So tax-friendly, not necessarily tax-free, depending on where your business is structured, depending on what your investments are. If you're earning money from capital gains, those are countries where you're not going to pay much. If you're running a business, depends on how the business is structured. Again, you might pay 0, 2, 5, 8, 16%, whatever the case may be. A lot better than in the West. And again, Singapore, it's one of the safest places on earth. You will not see petty crime. You will not see violent crime. People are storing their assets there. It's just a really safe and harmonious place. And then you look at other places in Asia. I happen to spend a lot of time in Malaysia, for example. And if you look at some of these other countries, you may not see them ranked in the top 10. But I will say that when you compare Asia to places, for example, like Latin America, you see a lot less violent crime in Asia. Crime that does exist is largely petty. Now, every country has their own particular issues. But what I can say when it comes to safety is I do feel pretty safe in Asia. In fact, safer than anywhere else. I have homes in different places around the world. Some people would consider Georgia and Armenia to be part of Asia. I think those are both incredibly safe, and they also rank very highly as well. But outside of those places, I think Asia is the place where I feel most comfortable walking around at all hours of night. If I have a nice watch or I'm dressed up a bit, I don't feel uncomfortable at all. And where there might be some parts in the world where I'd say, all right, I think it'll be fine, but let's not tempt fate. Well, let's put the watch in the safe and let's leave that at the hotel, or let's not carry the passport around. I think Asia does pretty well. I have really, in all my time in Asia, and with all my friends and associates, never really seen any kind of substantial issues. You might have an occasional purse snatching or something like that. But compared to Europe and compared to the Western world, I do think that Asia as a whole is more safe. There are certainly some trouble spots. But statistically speaking, the Gulf, Singapore, Hong Kong, again, the less tax-friendly countries like Taiwan, South Korea are also very good. But I think a lot of places in Southeast Asia, particularly if you're living in a sort of nomad capitalist bubble, if you're living in the best neighborhoods, you're not really going to have a problem. I think that's a comparison that people sometimes make unfairly, where they compare their life in some idyllic suburb somewhere, and then they imagine they're going to move to the worst part of some city, right? I mean, if you live in Bangkok, you're going to live in the best area of Bangkok, and it's going to be relatively safe, and you're probably going to live in a very safe apartment complex with security, and you're going to take a car, and the worst thing you can be subject to is someone snatching your wallet, which is pretty uncommon. So I think overall Asia is pretty safe. If you want to play the statistics, those are the countries that I would look at, and those countries that I mentioned are very good. The other thing that you want to do is really, when you're talking about tax-friendly, understand how you're making your money. Are you running an active business? And if so, where can it be structured? How is it structured? Are you making money from capital gains and dividends? Are you buying and selling assets? All those things factor into which country will be the most tax-friendly for you. You can go to nomadcapitalist.com and read some of our articles, contact our team, see how they can help. We would love to help you find your tax-friendly, safe country in the world. How can Nomad Capitalist help you? 4 ways. Number 1, subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to make sure you get our new video every day. Number 2, get a copy of Nomad Capitalist, the book. You'll learn a lot of my personal experiences over a dozen years of studying this stuff, as well as exactly some of the strategies that you can use to build your Nomad Capitalist plan. Number 3, if you're not sure where to start, but you want to come and learn from my team and I, you want to come and mingle with like-minded people, learn more about our live conference, Nomad Capitalist Live. It's coming up soon. And number 4, if you want some help right now because you've got a burning issue, you need something solved, you want to lower your taxes, get a second passport, or build the Nomad Capitalist lifestyle of your dreams, go to nomadcapitalist.com and click on Become a Client.